Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Crystal. I am your host and you are watching The Feminine Aspect. If this is the first time you're seeing me, I just want to say hello and tell you a little bit about my channel. So this channel is centered around women applying logic and wise decision making while navigating the patriarchy to create ideal outcomes for themselves in all areas of their lives, right? So we're not looking to dismantle the patriarchy. The patriarchy has been here before we got here and it'll be here when we're gone. What we're looking to do is make good choices that will have long-lasting, positive downstream effects. So if that's something you're into, feel free to join the community. Okay, so trigger warning. We're going to be talking about intimate partner violence, domestic violence, things of that nature. Okay, so let's talk about the topic of the day. Let's get right into it. So today we're going to be talking about the signs of a potentially abusive or violent man. We're going to be talking about how to spot them. We have to look out for very vague, seemingly vague signs to protect ourselves. Oftentimes in society, right, a woman is blamed when she's brutalized by a man. She's told, you should have chosen better, you should have just known, which it's nearly impossible to do, since an integral part of an abuser's pathology is to really, they seek to mask their true character. But there are tiny clues that you can look out for to keep yourself away from potential abuse. A quick little interjection here. Rule of thumb when dealing with men, unfortunately, we will talk about the domestic violence statistics in North America in a few, but a rule of thumb is to assume the worst of men until they prove otherwise. And it is their responsibility to prove that they are not abusive, violent, you name it, right? Because these things are happening at a rapid rate. So let's talk about these statistics surrounding intimate partner violence or domestic violence. And these statistics are based on the United States of America, right? So 41% of women have experienced domestic violence in their lifetime. That is almost half of us. In the United States, 1/5 of all homicide victims are unalived by an intimate partner. That's 20% of us. More than half of the female homicide victims are unalived by a current or former male intimate partner. Keep in mind, ladies, only 25% of physical assaults are reported. So those high numbers that I just mentioned to you only represent 1/4 of what's really going on, which is truly horrifying when you really think about it. Additionally, Black women are more likely than any other race or ethnicity to experience intimate partner violence. And every 2 hours in the United States of America, a Black woman loses her life at the hands of a Black man. What we can gather from all of this is that intimate partner violence is not something that is super rare. It is not something that is unheard of. Rather, what we can gather is many victims don't speak up. Many victims do not call the authorities. They are afraid, or they just don't have any other options, or because of society or their specific, or maybe the culture they come from, they feel it's a part of life and it's something that happens. It's super important that we talk about this because there are certain things that I guess you would call them red flags. It's important to know the things that, although they are subtle, the things that you can look out for to avoid these types of men, because according to the statistics, it's very common, more common than you realize, because most victims are not speaking up. So let's just dive right into this, right? The first sign or clue that a man is potentially abusive or violent in nature is he's exhibiting possessive behavior. This looks like controlling or jealous behavior, just all around an insecure guy. You can't ever do anything without being accused of infidelity. You can't even check the mail. You can't go anywhere and you find yourself in the position where you have to constantly check in with this person to prove that you are not cheating. That's not a good sign. These characteristics often indicate that this man is insecure or has a significant deficiency in his character. An insecure man can't do anything for you. It's not cute, it's not flattering for your partner to constantly accuse you of cheating. So any kind of possessive or controlling behavior is definitely a clue that this is a violent man. He might not be violent now, but this behavior can potentially lead to violence somewhere down the line. Another thing you want to look out for, aggressive behavior. This includes but is not limited to physically grabbing you, preventing you from leaving, destroying your property, throwing away your clothes or your makeup, like destroying your items, throwing your phone, cracking your phone, punching walls, breaking glass, throwing items at you. Please be aware, ladies, and this is super important. A violent man will hit things around you or your items that belong to you before they start hitting you. A lot of ladies go through these things and they think, oh, well, he's not hitting me, he's just throwing my things. It's only a matter of time before he starts hitting you. The person is unstable and being aggressive, right? Which leads to my next point. Another sign is an emotionally unstable person. This is someone with a short fuse. They are unpredictable, they have mood swings, frequent outbursts of anger, especially if they're angry over small things. When I say small things, because that's very ambiguous, right? But the reaction never matches the offense or the perceived offense. Being around someone with these tendencies is especially harmful psychologically because you will start to walk on eggshells and make yourself small to avoid these emotional outbursts. Keep in mind, ladies, a relationship should be a positive addition to your life, not a liability, not something where you should be afraid in your own home. Yeah, so emotionally unstable, moody guy, please stay away from them. It's only a matter of time. They're just a ticking time bomb. Number 4, he's a misogynist. If he's a misogynist or he hates women or has a negative opinion of women, pay attention to that. Please make a mental note of how he speaks about women, especially women from his past, women that he is not attracted to or that he says he's not attracted to, women that have been victimized in any way, sexually assaulted, or women that find themselves in abusive situations. I would advise that you pay attention to that greatly. The next sign that he's a potential abusive man, or he will be a potential abusive man in the future, is he's love bombing you. He's love bombing the hell out of you. He's moving way too fast. He wants to move you into his apartment. He wants to move you into his house. He's ready to get married. Like, he's just like ready for everything. A man that's love bombing you, don't ever think that he's serious about anything he's saying. He is simply starting the cycle of abuse. So let's just like roughly go over the abuse cycle. So love bombing, of course, as I just said, it's the first phase. This is the phase where you can do no wrong. Everything about you is everything they've ever wanted in a woman. They move very fast. They want you to move in. They want to start a committed relationship right away. The romance, the promises, everything happens in this phase. And the truth of the matter is this person has observed you and they have successfully become whatever it is that you're missing. That's the love bombing phase. And then there's the isolation phase. This is the phase where they isolate you from any support or family or friends or community that you might have. They do their best. They really try hard to create division or a rift between you and your support system. Or they put you in a position where you have to choose. Because he's such a great guy, because of what he was pretending to be during the love bombing phase, you think you have a great guy. The goal is to cut it off, cut you off from all community, all voice of reason. That's the isolation phase. And then there's the devaluation phase. That's where the person kind of switches up on you. And that's where the emotional and psychological abuse starts. They start to denigrate everything about you that they once praised during the love bombing phase. This creates confusion in the victim It makes the victim think that they are the problem. It goes from emotional to verbal to psychological to physical abuse, sexual abuse, and even financial. And if the abuse cycle continues, and if the victim doesn't leave, or if the person doesn't discard you, the abuser doesn't discard you, it will end with you being unalived or disfigured, right? So super serious stuff, but please be aware that if a man is love bombing you, he has simply started the abuse cycle. This is the sixth clue that he may be a potential abuser. He has a history of violent behavior. So this means previous instances of intimate partner violence. I know a lot of them lie and say they never hit anyone in their life. I get it. And because of most of these instances go unreported, you can do a background check and nothing will come up most times, but that doesn't mean that he's not an abuser. And so don't get too comfortable just because you do a background check and nothing comes up and you're thinking, everything is fine. It just means it wasn't reported. Restraining orders, orders of protection, violence with other men. These behaviors highlight an inability to self-regulate. When a man has an inability to self-regulate, everyone close to him is at risk. Number 7, he has a general lack of empathy or remorse when it comes to you and your feelings and your health. He has a disregard for your well-being or your comfortability. This might look like pressuring you into intimacy, or doesn't really care about your boundaries, doesn't want you to have boundaries, and you don't want someone who is unaffected by your tears. And the 8th and final sign that he may be a potential abuser is he has a constant victim mentality, lack of accountability, super, super important. He makes excuses for his abhorrent behavior all the time. He really believes that nothing is ever his fault, and he believes the lies that he tells himself, which is evidence of the lack of empathy, borderline sociopathic behavior that I just spoke about in point 7. That's a sign of a potentially abusive man. This concludes my video. I don't agree with the sentiment that women should just choose better. I think that men should just be better. And when we look at these statistics, we can see that this is a big problem. This is not something that's just happening to, I think they say 1 out of 3 women are experiencing or have experienced intimate partner violence. That only represents 25% of the cases, because only 25% of them are reported. So this is way more common than any of us could ever imagine. So if a woman is being victimized, trust me, there are thousands, hundreds of thousands more who have also been victimized and who have unfortunately lost their lives at the hands of men who have these clues that independently can be seen as kind of quirky, or he's been through a lot. Women like to make excuses, but the truth of the matter is this is such a relevant, unfortunately, a relevant issue in the United States that we can no longer give men the benefit of the doubt. It's way more important for you to protect yourself and stay safe. Yeah, so I'm glad you made it to this part of the video, and please stay safe, ladies. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.